Welcome to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We are excited today. It is Friday, first of all, but we have a lot to share with you. First of all, we have Senator Heitkamp is going to visit with us in our first and second segments, and then we have Sean Kuipers, who is going to visit with us in segments 3 and 4, and you want to stick around for that. She has such a story to tell about what's going on right here in Bismarck, North Dakota, in our medical community. You don't want to miss that. And then, of course, we always have the lighter side, but first of all, welcome to the show, Jason. You've been a very good guest in the past, and people keep requesting to have you back, and you always share so much. So welcome again.
They say the third time is the charm, so hopefully this is the charm.
You're always charming. You're always charming. And so we got to get to it quickly because there's a lot of information to share. There's a big meeting that popped up that people were told about, and you might know more about it. So tell our viewers what's going on right now.
Well, you know, on Tuesday, I was listening to the Harvey radio station, and I was listening to Bob Wheeler on there, and that's the first time I heard anything about what was going on with the Republican Party.
But wait a minute. You are a North Dakota Republican senator, are you not?
Yes, that's
you
correct.
Are. And so you found out about this on the radio?
I did.
Wow.
And, you know, the one thing about it is it doesn't affect the senator and the representatives now. But if this gets passed, you can bet by the next election it will affect the senators and the representatives. I think that they're taking out a small chunk of the process, and then everybody will have to pay to play in the future.
Okay, so first of all, for our viewers, let's set it up. We have an agenda, or they have an agenda. There's a meeting tomorrow, Saturday morning. That was kind of a short notice, but let's take a look at the agenda. It starts out with various issues, all right, of course, all the normal business procedures, but then there's consideration of core party statements. First Vice Chair John Oderman is going to talk about it. He's going to talk about the mission, the vision statement, and the code of conduct. But what we're going to talk about right now is a couple of the bylaws that they're changing. And the first one that I want to talk about is Article 3, Section 1, purpose, if we can pull that up. Oh, okay, right. I'm sorry. This is Amendment Rule Number 13, the nomination. So basically what they're saying is instead of 5 signatures to say become committee man or committee woman, now they want 20, and they also have pay to play. Why don't you tell us about this?
Well, and from what I understand, and I think that Bob did a great job of explaining it on the radio, that say like Lori Hentz, for example, and that's a volunteer position. You don't get anything reimbursed. Okay, and so now you should pay $1,000 in order to get the volunteer and go nationwide and stay in hotels that cost hundreds of dollars and things like that. It's going to make it very difficult for the common person to be a part of the process. And this deal about going from 5 to 20 signatures also, that's a lot. That's going to be out of 47 districts, and you have to get 20. That's almost a majority. That's almost winning right there if you can get the names, the signatures. So I think that's difficult.
It seems like it's shutting down the grassroots.
It absolutely is.
There's people that have become interested in government and in politics, and they're saying, well, I should take my turn. I should be a public servant.
Yeah.
But now if they have to pay all this money up front, that's going to discourage a lot of people.
Yeah. I think one thing that we have to remember, and this is what I tell people a lot, I serve at the pleasure of the people, okay? Now, I just got elected in 2020, and immediately they took our district and dissolved it, okay? There was 14 districts that had less population in it than the 26th district, but they picked our district to dissolve, all right? Now, I could maybe go into the weeds a little bit on how that happened, but for one thing, the people voted, and their representatives didn't even get to serve for one session before they were thrown out. And basically, we were thrown out. And so now we have to go fight it out in a different district. But that's what I'm talking about. I serve at the pleasure of the people. And it's getting to be like you're serving at the pleasure of the party.
Right.
Yes.
So
and that's difficult.
I want to pop that graphic up one more time. I want to go through a few things because it wasn't just the $1,000. That's number 3. But number 1, you have to submit $5,000 for any congressional or gubernatorial races, or $2,500 for statewide executive officers, or $1,000 for the national committee man or committee woman. So right there, it's pay to play is what it sounds like, because nobody's had to do that in the past. And then they say that any person who has sought the endorsement of another political party or affiliation in the past 10 years shall be prohibited from seeking the endorsement of the North Dakota Republican Party's state convention.
Well, that's welcoming, isn't it?
And how many politicians do we know who switched parties before they became a Republican because they know that that's the only way they could win? So, and this is just me, and I'm on fire right now. This is just me. Okay, so already you have half of the Republicans ticked off, right? Okay, so what are they going to do? Okay, you have half the Democrats ticked off because they don't like Biden's plan. So what are they going to do, right? They're going to vote for somebody else. So if you lose half the Republicans, you lose half the Democrats, they're going to come to the middle. There's a new party here. Call it whatever you want it to call. You know, it could be an independent party, because there's a lot of good Democrats out there and a lot of frustrated good Republicans out there, and this is going to bite them in the butt.
Well, but what about option number 4? Because we saw 3 options up there. So why don't I bring this third option? What happens if you rate less than 60% on the conservative scale? Why don't they charge you $5,000 to run as a Republican there?
Amen.
I mean, we have
There you go.
we have one person at least that rates as a 5%, okay, on a conservative scale.
But you can say
out
the
of
name.
100.
It's Judy Lee, isn't it?
No,
Oh,
it's not. It's
who is it?
Shannon Roars-Jones.
Oh, well
Judy
then.
Lee rates 15%.
15%, sorry.
wow.
That means she's
Stellar.
voting 15% conservative,
Yeah.
all right? There's one that's only at 5%, and they call themselves a Republican. They are not.
And they're allowed to run as a Republican.
So
I mean,
it's
don't
just
forget
crazy.
that. These people know what their rating is, and they're still allowed to run as a Republican. I mean, look at Chet Pollard. He's at 35%,
Wow.
you know? And
All
he's,
right.
and he's in leadership.
So we don't run out of time. Let's also move forward to amend Article 3, Section 1, purpose. And basically what they're doing is they're cutting out anybody else with an opinion. The
Pretty much.
a representative of the state elected officials can't vote, the state chairman of the Young Republicans. It looks like they're getting rid of people so that just the people who they have handpicked to be on these committees can vote.
Well, I was at a meeting the other day, and it was politics on a plate. It was in the Cass County Republicans. They put on a really good deal once a month, okay? And I was there, and I was sitting there, and they were saying, you know, this certain person asked me to run. This certain person asked me to run. Everybody in the room had somebody that asked them to run. And I was sitting there, and I was saying, nobody's ever asked me to run before, you know? And they haven't. They never have. So what about the people who have the fire in them that want to change the world and make it a better place, and no one has ever invited them to run? Okay, that's what you're doing here. You're just making it so unless you're invited or asked or something like that, you're never going to have the chance to run.
So, and really, it doesn't even matter if the Republican Party endorses them or not. That's, you know what I'm saying? It's like you can still run. Anybody can still run. It's just that you don't have the endorsement. But the party is falling apart, and so why would you want them to endorse you anymore anyway? And I have a hard time saying that because I am a vice chair of District 31. I have a hard time saying that, but I'm very frustrated that they're trying to eliminate any other voice.
But look what happens now if they take the convention and they put it after the primary.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, okay, but say that somebody wins the primary, but they haven't paid their dues yet this year. Okay, and now they're going to say, well, I need $5,000 from you, and you're going to say, forget it.
Wow. So let's kind of pick up where we left off. We're talking about people that they're basically not being able to vote. They're eliminating a large part of the party that can't vote. So what say you?
Well, I think my biggest concern, I'm not trying to go off on a different tangent, but we just had a bunch of people who worked hard to change the districts, to censure the people who should be censured, you know, in their mind. And now we've just thrown them back out into the pasture, and nobody even knows what district they're a part of anymore. I mean, it's just like the Tower of Babel. You know, they were building the tower to heaven, and God stopped it by making it so they couldn't understand what anybody else was saying. And that's what they've done here. This is like the Tower of Babel. Nobody knows what district they're in. They got to all get reelected again. They don't know who's going to vote for them. So let's just put this guy in that's going to say, well, I'll just appoint the chairman for now. Well, once they're appointed, what's the odds that they're going to get voted out right away?
Well,
Be put
riddle
in
me
trouble?
this. If they are a district chairman and they're put in, if they are a representative of a district and they are put in as the temporary chair, they end up with 2 votes. That's stacking the votes.
It really is.
That's not fair. And I know that a lot of young Republicans and the college Republicans, they're having their voices censured, basically,
Stifled, yeah.
because they have always had a seat at the table. You know, bring up the young ones, teach them what you will, and they're saying no to them now by eliminating them from voting on anything at the state level.
And so
So
what
how do you-
message are they sending?
Exactly. How do you bring in any new voices at all?
They don't.
So
Doesn't
you-
seem like they want any new
So then
voices.
they are actually, they're just showing everybody that they are what they call establishment.
Right.
They want to have it their way. And I mean, I had the chairman of District 7, Klaus Lemke, tell me to my face, is we don't want a bunch of these young people and new people in the district. We just want people that we know and that we trust. You know, I'm paraphrasing the way that he said it. I don't have the exact verbiage to memory, but he stood in my office and told me basically that they can't control these people, so they don't want them. And
Oh my
that's what we're
goodness.
seeing on a state level.
Wow.
Well, and look what's happening with the National Democrat Party. Nancy Pelosi's 83. She's running again. The president's 79. He's running again. All these people are in their 80s and 90s running again. And then, you know, like with Quentin Burdick, well, when he died, then they just put his wife in. I mean, are we actually getting people that have ideas and have the fire, or are we getting these people that are controlled by the power interest? And that's what's happening here.
Wow.
You know, if I was waiting to serve, I would still be by the phone right now. I'm not waiting to serve. I'm out there and I'm going like fire because we got to get some good stuff done while we still can.
Right.
We can't sit by the phone and wait.
So Donna, you had a thought earlier and we cut you off.
Well, I was just thinking the redistricting part, that does happen every 10 years too,
Yes.
right? So it's not like it's something that's totally different. I mean, things have happened, but there's such a change just because the population has changed in North Dakota so much too in different areas, right?
Well, and actually with the redistricting bill, I mean, kudos to Sebastian Ertel, who's a representative from the 26th district. He came up with a map that actually, I believe, only affected 14 people. The state came up with a map that affected 99 people. Now, what would you rather do?
Yeah.
You know, and it should have been based on what they're talking about, population and things like that. Like I said, the 26th district had 14 districts that had less people in them, and none of those were worked with. It was just like, well, we got to get rid of the 26.
They've successfully disenfranchised so many people.
Absolutely.
All over the state. You've taken people that were in one district and voted for people on their executive committee in their district, and they have representation from their senator and their representative, and now they're suddenly in another district, but that district is not going to allow them to become members until after the first of the year. And then these reorgs will happen, and these people won't be able to vote in the reorganization of their own district. So they're left out in no man's land with no representation. How fair is that?
Well, but don't you think too that they poked a bear? That this is going to backfire?
Oh, it's gonna
because there are
backfire.
so many, those that feel disenfranchised, they're going to get fired up. Those that are sitting on the fence, like, you know what, I'm not feeling it, they're going to, you know, it's like, I'm not going to vote for those people, you know, in their mind, I'm speaking for them. And then you have the Democrats. I just think that there's something bigger going on here, that they're missing the boat. When they're disenfranchising that many people, they're missing the boat.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are announcing that they're not running. You know, that's kind of, I don't remember seeing that many this soon.
Well, the
happening.
statistics on people not running again is actually pretty high. I mean,
Right now.
Well, not only that, but over the history too.
Okay.
There's been a lot of turnover in the Senate. I mean, you hear about the people like Ray Holmberg that have been in there for years and years, Judy Lee who've been in there for years and years. But there is quite a bit of turnover according to what they tell us. And you do see that, but you don't notice it, but you do see it.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know.
did
And
see
it
that.
should be.
No, I did see that the Attorney General, Wayne Stanjum, announced that he is not going to run as well. So if you see something like the governor pushing money into all these different races, and
Yeah.
he gets his pick of attorney general, he'll pretty much have all the branches of government under his control. I think that's something we need to watch for. Is
Well,
where's it coming from?
But you've hit on what I'm talking to people about. We have a separation of powers, okay?
We should.
Well, no, we actually do. But yet they're not doing anything about it. Because like at a federal level, the Supreme Court justices don't run for office. But in North Dakota, the Supreme Court justices run for office. So we've seen, like in some legislative districts where I've heard $750,000 or $250,000 have been put up against one or two people by this PAC that was started by the governor, okay? What happens when he goes after the Supreme Court justices? Where are they supposed to get $700,000 to run for office?
Wow.
You
Well,
know?
I think that's where the grassroots comes from. There's a lot
Yeah.
of money out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wealthy people out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are ready. They're just tired. They're just tired of the way things are going right now, and they're ready to, like, hey, let's fund something else
Yeah.
because my party is not representing me anymore. You know, I guess that's
Well, there's one way to do it is just like you start a savings account with a child. You start putting a little bit of money away every month, and you keep it for the candidate that you yourself have vetted, and you have checked out their past, you checked out their credentials, and you gave them a call and talked to them.
Yeah.
And don't choose it because it's on a piece of paper with a D or an R behind it. Find out who these people are, check them out, get to know them, and communicate with them.
Yeah. And you know, there are people out there that don't want to take money. I'm one of those people that don't really want to take money from people to run. And I haven't taken a lot of money. Jeff Magram's another guy that hasn't taken a lot of money. And if I can tell you a quick story, I mean, I
it's
think
got to be
that-
quick, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think this is humorous though. I got a check in the mail when I was running for county commissioner one time. It was like $50, and so I wrote this nice letter up and sent the money back. Well, it ended up my dad had bought a raffle ticket, okay, for the Galshood baseball team, and they had sent it. They didn't explain what it was for, and so I sent this back with this. You know, I don't accept money from people, but I really appreciate it. And then they sent it back again, and then they told me what it was
Explained
about
it.
after that. But I mean,
right.
that's kind of a hilarious story
Sure.
for not taking
Amen.
contributions
Well,
from people.
Amen to that. And we're going to have to stop right there, Jason. We appreciate you coming in. We want to wish you a very Merry Christmas
Yeah.
because
Thank
we
you.
say Merry Christmas here.